Hello there and welcome to my beautiful mandala training video. Today I'm going to teach you how to start a mandala from scratch. And I've just been doing a little bit of research and found that there are no people that are in like the top 10 of YouTube videos that really explain in detail how to draw a mandala from the very base point. And I'm talking a mandala that is precise and that is, very symmetrical and equal or the whole way around. So I'm going to start with my blank canvas, which is the paper, and I'm using some nice canvas paper, but you can use whatever you like. You can just use a drawing book. And basically you just want to find the middle point of the page, and generally I'll do that by kind of just mentally noting how long the page is and how far across the page is, and find the middle point between those two and just kind of put a little dot. It doesn't really have to be in the dead center of the page, as long as you know where your dot is. So you can either make a point or you can press your little point of your compass deep into the page there. Then you can always find it whenever you need it. You can always like put your point in the indent. Anyway, so to start with, we're going to start with a small circle. And before we actually do that, I'll tell you exactly what you need. So you're going to need a compass, and I've tightened my compass today because you want to make sure that it's not going to, when you're actually measuring the page or drawing a circle or doing anything, that it's going to slip and it's going to change its length or make the line look not straight or make a circle not perfectly symmetrical. So make sure it's nice and tight. I generally like to have one that you can tighten, because if not, then it's going to get really loose and you'll probably have to throw it out. Make sure your pencil's nice and tight on the compass and just make them about the same length. I sometimes make my pencil a little bit longer. You'll also need a ruler, very important. A rubber sharpener, of course, and I like to use a different range of pens. So I have a 3.3, 0.3 mil, a 0.6 mil, and a Sharpie, pretty much. Just like a big fat one on one end and a thinner one on the other end. So I have like a whole collection of them. So if one runs out, I've got another one that I can use as a backup. And you generally want the three different sizes of, around three different sizes of pens, because you want fine lines, you want thick lines, you want to be able to have like really some good boldness in there as well. So if you really want to make this a really simple, intricate one, you might want to use just a 3-point the whole way. But it's up to you, because mandalas they are your creation, and this is how you basically do it. So let it be however you want it to be. But to start with, you're just going to follow along with what I do. And if you are a well-seasoned mandala creator, feel free to go off on a tangent and start doing more than what I'm doing at the moment. However, basically we start with a circle, like I said. So put your point in the middle, get your circle to be about, or your compass rather, just to be like maybe half of your finger length. So we're just not making a circle too big. We don't want to make it too big. I might just make it a little bit bigger there. And make sure it's in there deep, and make your circle. And you don't want the circle to be too dark, because then you won't be able to rub it out later. Or you might go over it with a dark pen, so it doesn't really matter. But you want to also be able to rub out these lines that we're going to be creating. So you're watching me upside down basically, but you want to find the middle point of the circle. And generally I'll put it straight across the page like that. However, you can go up and down like this, you can go across. It doesn't really matter. Wherever you want this line to start is going to be the starting point of your mandala. So find the middle point, make sure you line up perfectly with that, and draw a line across, and make sure the line goes outside the circle. So you maybe want it to go as far as there and across to there. And then to find the perfect symmetrical point that's going to go this way, we can't just go like this and put a line down. If you want it to be completely symmetrical, we have to actually use a technique with our compass, where we're going to put the point on the line where the circle and the line meets, the point where the circle and the line meet. And you want to make the compass bigger than the halfway point of the circle. So my compass is about here, so that's fine. You're not going to make a line yet until you get up here. You're going to do one cross up here, and then you're going to bring the compass down and do another line across there. So you're going to have these two funny lines sticking out of your circles. Then you're going to go across to the other side, put your point on the line and the circle, and then you're going to go back across and do another line across the two curves that you've already made. So now you have 3 points on your page, and this is the perfect symmetrical opposite line of the line you've already created, as long as you line it up perfectly with your ruler. So you want to make sure that you've got a sharp pen or pencil, and make sure you're doing this in pencil, because we're going to rub this out. Your mandala is not going to have these horrible ugly lines all over it, and you're going to line it up perfectly so that you can get one straight line through all of the dots, like so. So now we have a line across and a line down, and you might want to, after creating this line, you might want to rub these curves out. You don't have to. I usually do it at the end. So now we're going to basically keep dividing the page up like so. And to do that, we're going to use these points because we've created this new point over here. So leaving the compass at the same length that you had it with this curve. So if you want to find, if you've put your compass like this and you're like, oh no, I don't know the exact point, just put the point of your compass here and line your pencil up with where the line was, like so, and you've got your point, or your distance with your compass. And you want to put it on the other point that you haven't put it on yet, so the new point between the circle and the line. And you're going to go across like this and across like that, and then you're going to go across the other way again, and then you're going to go on this little dot here, and you're going to go across again. And then back over to this one, and across here, and across there. So now you're going to have more curves on your page. Lots of curves everywhere. And if you get going with circles, it'll look pretty cool. And they would all probably connect in the most beautiful, symmetrical way as well. However, we're not doing that. We're creating a mandala, so I'm going to connect the lines up again. And I'm going to make sure that they're perfectly in line with the dots. So now you can see here that I actually haven't made a symmetrical line. For the purpose of this exercise, I'm not going to rub this out, but if you want it to be completely perfect and you want everything to be exactly the same, like to the minute detail, you could rub this line out, do it again. However, it's pretty much going through the middle, so I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to go through this one. And now we have more sections in the circle, more lines through the paper. So I'm going to divide this page up one more time, and I'll speed it up so you can see, but it might take you just as long as it takes me. And as you'll realize, the more sections you have, you might need to make your compass smaller to go criss and cross. So making sure that your point is bigger than the halfway point of the circle, always. Now you can see I've got lots of tiny little crisscrosses in the middle of each section, and I'm going to line them up again. Now you'll notice that this gets you really, really super duper focused. It actually slows your breathing down, gets you right into the present moment. And you forget about the rest. Basically, you forget about everything else that's going on. And that's what I love about mandalas. They bring me into the present moment. They make me mindful. However, I don't really like all of this. So I'm going to rub it all out, and bear with me while I do. Everything that we do here in mandala making is intentional. Everything that we do keeps us focused on the present moment and what we're doing right here and right now. So even though we're just rubbing out lines, we're doing them with intention. And no thoughts are actually coming into our mind because we're present. We're right here in the present moment. Okay. Give that a bit of blow, rub. Now, I still have a few little dots all over my page, but it looks much better than before. And now you can see that I have a lot of lines, one circle, and a beautiful empty canvas. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make more circles, because this is going to give us the depth of the mandala. I generally, for the purpose of like a beginner, you want to make larger gaps between your circles so you can do larger kind of patterns that you can elaborate on. However, if you're pretty seasoned or you want to go crazy, you'll do much, much closer together circles so you can do a lot more detail inside them. And depending on your art style, whatever works is absolutely perfect. Mandalas are there for you to elaborate and get creative on. So totally go crazy on this. So if you're a beginner, let's start, and you can just follow me by drawing a circle that's bigger than the one we've already drawn. And you'll notice that your compass is nice and tight so it doesn't move around, which is really, really good. And I'll make another circle that's smaller than the one that I've already done. Oop. And I might do another big one, just to give me a bit more size. And then I might do another really, really small one in the middle. Beautiful. Now we're left with this beautiful empty canvas. In this little space right here, we have the middle point, and we have all these little sections right here to do whatever we like with. This is how you start the mandala, from the middle. You might want to start on the outside, and that's totally okay. I would recommend doing that as a seasoned mandala creator, because then you kind of know the progression of how things move. But it's easier just to move outwards as you go. So the easiest way to start in the middle here is to either draw a circle and fill it in dark, just a dark black color, or you could create a little pattern like a flower. So I'm just going to do a little flower. And I'm doing it with my pencil because being a beginner, you really don't want to make mistakes. If you want this to be perfect, and by perfect I mean your best, the best that you can do, then you want to be able to go over it with pen and fix any mistakes that you've done. So my beautiful flower is there and it's begun, and I'm going to surround my flower with a circle, and I'm going to create my first bold spot in my mandala, and that's going to be all filled in black here. This whole circle here is going to be black around the flower. So just to start off with, we're right in the middle now anyway. I'm going to outline the flower with my my 3-point. So now you'll notice that I can go around and I can fix any little differences in the flower that I noticed before. And then I'm going to go around the edge of it with my 6.6 because it's nice and thick. I'm just going to outline this circle and fill it in. Now with mandalas, you want to play with light and dark. If there's too much light on your page, it's going to look really, it's going to lack contrast basically. And with a mandala, they really, really look beautiful when they have that black and white contrast. If you want to make something a lot more detailed, totally just use whatever you want, and when you look at your mandala, you'll be able to notice the fine detail. However, if you want it to be in a room and you want it to pop, I believe light, dark, boldness and contrast and space actually helps it to pop. So I'm just going to finish filling this in. Okay, now I have my center point and I'm going to work around that. So now I have these little sections here that I can play with, and I'm going to use those to create some petals. They're just a very, very basic shape that are usually seen on mandalas. So I'm just going to go around, and if you feel confident, you can do this with your black pen, which I'm going to do now. But if you're not sure, just use your pencil, go over it and fix your mistakes later. You can always, always, always do a mandala freehand whenever you feel confident. However, I think it looks very aesthetically beautiful when you measure up a page and you do a mandala that looks perfectly symmetrical. And even though there's tiny little mistakes that you know are in there, it doesn't matter because no one else really notices them. They just see the massive beauty that you've created. Alrighty, so now I have this space in between here. And you'll notice that if you want it to be really, really detailed, you need to fill in this space with more circles. So you can start back to your middle point, make your circles as you go. However, I'm going to play with that space and I'm going to create something bigger. So you can play with the middle of the little section, or you can play with the lines. And because I played with the middle of the section here, I'm going to play with the lines now. So I'm going to make a line to line, kind of like a half leaf shape, and I'm going to go up into a point. Kind of like a teardrop, upside down without a bottom. And I'm going to go around and do it for the rest. Okay, so now you know why I like to use pencil, because I don't like the lines to be like this, especially when you're doing a shape like on a different angle that your hand's not really used to. Usually I like to turn the page as I go, but because this is, I've got my little camera set up here, I just have to kind of move my body around the page. So now I'm going to use that, and I'm going to maybe create a bit of a dark space in here again. So I'm going to make a little shape that looks exactly the same on the inside, and I'm going to fill it in with some lines, and I think I can do that with my texture now. So I'm going to go around and do that. and you follow along if you want to do this pattern or start creating your own pattern as you go. Remember though, if you're using your texter and you see something that you don't really like, it's totally okay, because the process of a mandala is actually a very sacred practice by monks. And they actually create mandalas with sand on the ground. And they'll spend hours, possibly even days, creating these things. They are magnificent. You should look them up. And literally, after experiencing all of that hard work and dedicating all of that time into creating such a masterpiece, they enjoy it and then they let it go. They completely let it go and they sweep it away, never to be seen again, only to create another one next time. So just remember that the process of a mandala is supposed to teach you mindfulness and letting go, because nothing has to be perfect, and only perfection comes through our perception. So don't put too much pressure on yourself for it to be perfect. I like throwing the word perfect around, but I don't want you to pressure yourself. Okay, so I love the play on the dark and the light here. Can you see it already? So you can see the real darkness here, and then there's a white space around it. And when you move away, you can see how much it pops. And I've created a small darker space here, and that's going to contrast with the next space that I'm going to create, which I think will be a little bit dark as well. But I think I'm going to start by creating another shape just like that in the middle here. And I'm going to do that with my texter or pen. You can do that with your pencil if you like. Alrighty, and I'm going to probably use a little bit of that lightness, and I'm going to fill in the circle behind it. So I'm going to trace the line of this circle right now with my little pen. And I'm going to fill it in with my Sharpie. To be really careful with Sharpie because they're really, really thick. They fill in a good block of colour. However, you will need to go around the outer edges and just fill in the other little spots so you don't go over the lines. Doing something so detailed like this makes me so present. All I am thinking about, focusing on, is this one little task of filling in the darkness with my pen. Now I'm going to use this one to come up to this point. So I'm going to go like this. Got some beautiful flowery petals coming out here. And I'm going to use another circle to create another point up there. Yeah, about there, I think. I'm going to do another one just behind. You can make them as wide as or as thin as you want them. Alright, so now that I have all my little spaces and everything all lined up, I'm going to go over them with some dark pen. I'm going to rub out all that stuff in the middle so it looks a bit more clear. And then we're going to have a bit of a blank canvas to play with on the outside and do a little bit more detail on the inside. So I'm going to speed it up again and you can watch me really, really fast outline all of this. Alright, so I have these beautiful white spaces. I'm going to leave those for now. I'm going to use this line. Yep. To create another circle coming behind this one. Playing with the light and dark space again. Beautiful. And I'm going to fill that space in with lines. Et voila. Okay, so now that I have some light space, some dark space, some kind of grey space, I think I'm going to put a little bit of a pattern in these flower petals, and I think I'll leave those ones blank because they'll set off the light and dark. So I'm going to do a shape like that in here. And then I might do another shape like that. And I'm going to do some dots around the side. And you'll see how you can actually use shapes and patterns in these. So I'm going to do dots in here, I think. Alrighty, so I finished that section. My camera died, but we're back, and we're connected to power, so we won't die again. Now we have this beautiful contrast of everything kind of standing out, but not really. And you might, as you go, when you start getting more and more confident with mandalas, you will get more in detail in these little sections here. You might put heaps of detail in every little section. And don't be afraid to play with the lines and the points. Get your ruler and just like join these lines up and, you know, do whatever you like, because a mandala is supposed to be yours. It's supposed to be something that you create, something that you just flow with, because it brings you into the present moment. And in the present moment, you're just guided. You're just constantly guided, and nothing ever needs to be worried about, because the answers are always there. Isn't it amazing? So here we are with our beautiful half-finished mandala. And now we've got some space to play with on the outside. So actually, before I do that, I'm going to go with my 3 points. And I'm going to make some dots around the edges of these little petals here to create some detail. And if you're following along with my mandala, don't place too much stress or pressure on yourself for it to be exactly the same. Because the way you do art and the way you create is different to how I do art and create. And that is totally fine and totally perfect. And you might not like these bold colors in your mandala. You might want lots of white space. You might want lots of detail. You might want little detail. You might want extra bold lines. You might want no detail. It's totally fine and up to you because this is your creation. And if all mandalas looked the same, the world would be pretty boring, right? Oh, it's really popping now. Okay, so I think I just want to go around and create a little bit more detail before I move on. So I'm going to do some circles here. Do some... Create a midpoint line here. And do some half semicircles, I think. Half petals. I like that. Wow. Getting detailed here. And then around the edge, I'm going to do another dark, beautiful, bold circle again. So I'm going to do another circle around the edge. I have to go over that with my pen, my 0.6. Go right around. Alrighty, so we're kind of getting towards the outskirts. I've still got a bit of white space. I need to rub out a few of those lines. I want to use a little bit of these white bits to do something, and then do something on the outside, and I think we'll be close to done. So I'm going to go out to here, I think. Now you might notice if you want to keep going out further and further and further, and you want more lines here, you're just going to have to go back to the point again, do your crisscross, like so, and then just keep going around, and then keep following it through the middle point again. So you can keep making these little lines in the middle, like sections, and that's easy. You've just got to keep doing your crisscrosses. But I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to use the space here. And I'm pretty much just going to make a few little freehand petals in these spaces, so I can finish off my beautiful mandala. However, you can keep going, and I have kept going before, and brought the mandala to the outskirts of the page. It's really up to you, and this mandala is completely yours. So do whatever you feel is best and whatever you think is going to be beautiful. Just go with the flow, really. That's the whole idea of a mandala. Just go with the flow. Alrighty. We're pretty much at the end here, so I'm just gonna keep going, put a bit more detail in here, and then rub out the outer edges, and I'll speed all of that up so you can see what it looks like at the end. But happy mandala drawing, and I'll catch you very soon. And there you have it. One beautiful finished mandala, as you can see. So you can see that I've gone around, I've done a bit more detail on the little open sections. I made a very flowery mandala. Started with a flower, moved out with flowery flowers, and put some flowers in there. So I'm going to call this my flowery mandala. So thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for following along if you were following on with my mandala. Otherwise, I hope your mandala looks amazing, and I would absolutely love to see your creation. So please send it in to me, either on Instagram at Sarah De Silva AU or sarahdesilva.au@gmail.com. So I can share it with my followers and show them how amazing your creations are too. Thank you so much for being here. Be sure to cherish this mandala if it was your first one, even if it's your 100th. I reckon you should frame this if it's your first one, because you should be pretty proud of yourself. Mandala creating is such a beautiful activity to get you into the present, into the now, and it helps you to focus. And generally you'll notice that in that focus, in those times when you're feeling most present, other amazing ideas and inspiration will pop into your mind, because when we're in the present moment, that's when we flow. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate being able to share this with you, and I hope you've gotten so much value. I can't wait to see your creation.